Hey guys, it's Lisa here. Just wanted to give you a video on a new recipe, or an old recipe that I haven't made for quite some time. It's called a Bavarian Apple torte, and here it is, end of January, and it's kind of snowy, kind of not snowy where we live, so I just thought I'd make this for a friend. It has kind of a cream cheese cake, little torte with a crumb, like a flour-based crust, and then your cream cheese layer, and then you top it off with cinnamon sugar and apples, and it comes out nice and caramely on top, and really a nice rustic torte that is really easy to make. So you can actually take this recipe and you make it into a 9-inch springform pan. Sorry. The 9-inch springform pan, so it removes very easily. And sorry, my filming is what it is, but I'm just making the base here. So in the base, it's half a cup of butter, 1/3 of a cup of sugar, and 1 cup of flour, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla. So those measurements are the whole thing. You basically cream the butter and the sugar together with a little bit of vanilla, and then gradually incorporate your flour into the mixture so it becomes like a soft dough. And then this is the mixture that you're actually going to put into the springform pan. So I'm going to do that right now and show you what it looks like. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm still recording. Had to figure out my camera. My spatula. Make a little ball, throw it in the pan, and what you're going to do, this is a 9-inch springform pan, and you're basically going to press it into place. I'll do that and come back. Okay guys, so the crust is now filled into the pan. This was a 9-inch pan. I usually double the recipe and I make a larger torte, but so it's all pressed in to the pan, to the edges, flat. It's not a thick crust. It just gives it a little bit of rigidity on the bottom. So now we're going to make our filling. The filling, and I'm going to do it over here. Hopefully, well, I can bring this over here, I guess. Not the best filmer. So what it calls for is 8 ounces of cream cheese. So this is just the generic or the Safeway brand of cream cheese Lucerne. You can use anything, as long as you get 8 ounces of cream cheese. So open it up, throw it in your mixer, and you're going to combine the cream cheese, throw it in, and you're also going to take and do 1/4 of a cup of sugar again. So here's our little 1/4 of a cup. Now you can double the recipe like I said, and it makes a bigger torte. So your 1/4 cup of sugar, and then 1 egg. Throw in an egg. And I always tend to open the egg separately, because sometimes they get little blood spots in them, and that's just kind of gross to bake with. So I just check the egg. Throw that in there. And then half a teaspoon of vanilla. I just kind of put a little bit more vanilla in because I like the flavor of vanilla. Take a paddle, throw it on your mixer. Now you can kind of mix up your cream cheese mixture with your sugar, add your egg in the blender or in the mixer. I'll show you how it kind of looks when it's getting incorporated. I tend to just scrape it down. Hope you can see anything. The worst filmer ever. It's been a while since I've done cakes even. But find if you mix up your cream cheese a little bit before you get a little less curdy. And all you're doing is incorporating it, really mixing it down. And then you pour it into the pan. You mix it. The next thing we're going to do is the topping. And what's great about this dessert is you basically make everything, it's very, very simple to make. Throw it all together and throw it in an oven. So prepare your oven at 400 degrees and, sorry, I should say 450. And you bake at 450 just to start getting the crust and getting everything together. You bake it for 10 minutes at 450 and then you reduce it to 400. Alright, so let's see if I've got this. Can I set up? There we go. Okay. Trying to, oops, look here. So, I'm a lefty, so unfortunately, let's see if I can do this properly. Just gonna throw it in. I'm so used to doubling the recipe. And yet, I hadn't made this for some time, so hopefully you can see. So it's kind of like a little custard that you throw in. It's loose. You're just kind of putting it around. The other option is you can kind of put the crust kind of up the sides so that this center custard layer will actually increase. Sorry, my phone is ringing. It's my fax machine. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to show you the apple top, so just hold on to that. Okay guys, we're at the apple stage. So basically what I've done is I've peeled and cut. Oh, I can't see anything. Hold on. Yeah, I've peeled and cut 3 apples and just kind of rough chop them. And then what you do is you add your sugar and your cinnamon. So it calls for 1/3 of a cup of sugar. To me that's a little bit a lot, so I'm more inclined to do 1/4 of a cup of sugar, to be honest. Because I thought the sugar amount is ridiculous. And cinnamon. So I've got my cinnamon here. It asks for 1/2 teaspoon. So I just kind of eyeball it. Cinnamon. And then big tablespoon. Just toss that. And they're just well coated. Just make sure you've got all the cinnamon sugar from the bottom all incorporated. And then off my hands. Okay, so now we're going to actually put it together. So I'm hoping you can see this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just going to lay the apples on top. Now if you find that you don't have enough apples, like use 4 apples or use 5 apples. When I'm doing the bigger torte, I tend to use 5 or 6 apples, just depending on the size of your apples. These are organic apples that I had. Granny Smiths are ideal for a nice crisp cooking apple. And just put it around. Alright, so they'll cook down. And just the extra cinnamon sugar on top. My hand. Okay, so you basically take this, throw it into your oven, 450 for 10 minutes. Timer. Good, at 450, and then you reduce it to 400 for 25 minutes, and that'll actually cook up the center and make everything firm, and then I'll show you it at the end of it. Thanks. Okay guys, so I just took it out of the oven, and I didn't put as many apples on it, and that kind of does make an effect on it, but it caramelizes up a little bit more. Like if I would have put more sugar on it, it would have been more caramely on the top. You can also do an alteration and add slivered almonds onto it, like blanched and slivered almonds. So you'll see there's a little bit of firmness to the torte. When it cools, it'll get a little bit more stiff, and then it'll be easy to cut. And what I'm going to do is put it on this little cake plan because I'm giving it away as a gift to a friend. So let it cool significantly, probably for a good half hour, before you decide to even remove it from the springform pan, and we'll be running a knife around the edge and then separating it. And then it comes out as a little torte, and you can serve it. So I hope you really do try this recipe. It is super easy. It's super simple ingredients. So technically, if you have butter, flour, egg, sugar, vanilla, cinnamon, and apples, and 1 thing of cream cheese, 8 ounces of cream cheese, you can make this very simply. And so just to review the ingredients for the base crust, it's 1/2 cup of butter or margarine, 1 cup of flour, and 1/3 cup of sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. You mix that all together, put it in the pan. Your second layer is 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 egg, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Mix that all up, pour it over your base. Then your third layer is you chop up some apples, peel and core your apples, toss them with some sugar and some cinnamon. So 1/3 cup of sugar it asks for. I kind of do a little bit less, so 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 cup of sliced almonds if you want to add the almonds, which do give it some nice texture and some rustic appeal. And then it calls for a cup of sliced apples. I tend to do a little bit more than a cup of apples. As you can see here, that was more than a cup, but you definitely need that. Put it in the oven at 450 degrees for 10 minutes. If you're doing a double batch, so making everything times 2, put it 20 minutes at 450. Then you reduce it to 400 degrees for 25 minutes if you're just doing a single batch, and you're doing 45 minutes for a double batch. You cool it and you remove it from the pan, and then you enjoy. It's a wonderful torte that goes well for winter, fall, and special occasions. Really easy. So I hope you guys do try it. It's really something that I did want to share with you guys, and bon appetit!